Howdy folks, Little John. I'm on the road. I'm down at Steveadulla with Steveadulla. He's going to come on.
Howdy guys.
Me there. I think they can see you there, Steve. It's day before New Year's 2021. We're pissing this year off. It's been a crap year. We're finishing it with a couple of beers. We're brewing up a nice sweet stout.
Nice vanilla stout.
Steve was nice enough to invite me down to have a few beers and have a brew day while I'm camping just up the road. So here we are. So we're doing a pastry milk stout type of thing, Steve?
Yeah, vanilla heavy.
We've got some vanilla and lactose going in there. Steve tells me this is only his first stout that he's actually brewed.
Yeah,
he's done some fresh wort kits. This is his first stout, so we're going through. But what's going to happen with this fella is Steve's going to brew this one up. I'm going to go home in a couple of weeks' time after my holiday, which is before you've seen this video. And I'm going to do a variation on this recipe, and I'm going to stick some into a bourbon barrel, do a little bit of barrel aging, and I've been lucky enough to come across a decent supply of oysters. So I'm going to split that up. I'm going to do an oyster stout for half of it as well.
Very nice.
And then once ferment's all done, we're going to do a bit of a postal exchange, and we'll do a sample on all the beers. So you'll see that down the track a little bit. So you'll see a few shots of what's going on during the day, and you might see some stupid shit as well as we get too drunk and bloody brewing beer. But anyway, we'll get on with it.
Cheers guys.
Right folks, I'm back home. I've actually been home for a bloody I've been home for a little bit. Anyway, just want to run you through quickly how brew day went down there with Steve. So, as said there, what we were brewing up was a sweet stout, milk stout, pastry type of thing. Yes. This is a recipe that Steve had created. That was his first stout that he's actually brewed himself. So it was 20 litre batch, 3.8 kilo of Gladfield ale malt, 900 grams of Maris Otter, 500 grams of flaked maize, which is something I've never used in the stout. So you can see how that goes. 470 grams of chocolate malt, which is a fairly dark one. It was a crisp, bit over 1000 EBC. 400 grams of rolled oats. I think he just used the quick oats. 200 grams of roasted barley and 160 grams of Gladfield dark crystal malt. There was also 400 grams of lactose added into the brew. Now you'll see the milling of the grains. The grains were separated. We put so the dark malts were left out. I suggested to Steve to leave them out because he didn't want to get a lot of coffee notes or too much, bitterness, or that roasty bitterness. So I suggested to leave them out of the initial mash and put them in later. So they got added separately later on. I think we got some footage of that as well. That's good. Oh yeah. Oh no. That's just put the dark grains in. 15 minutes to go in the mash. We're at 65 degrees. So that was mashed. I said the dark grains were added towards the end of the mash. Righto. Mash out done. Pipe out. Time to do some sparging. Steve can do his magic. Sparge is on. See ya. Smells pretty good in here.
Buddy-o.
It's boiled up. We've used some Magnum hops for the initial bittering addition, 8 grams for 10 IBU, and then there was 45 grams thrown in with 35 minutes to go for another 20 IBU. Little bit of water additions were made.
Righto. There you go.
Up to a boil.
They're split.
Couple of lovely split vanilla beans. In they go.
Straight in. And 8 grams of Magnum.
Lovely. Alright, we've got the cool on. Ice through the chiller. In the Lesky coil. We're at it's not going to show up. We're at 41 degrees, we're not far off a full chill.
Beautiful.
Now, so this stirrer, Steve's pulled the stirrer out with a magnet. Oh yeah, there she is.
You see it? Yeah.
And we've drained off the extra and in she goes.
Beautiful.
What volume have we got, can we see?
It's on this side.
Get down there. Here we go, we've got 21, I think we've got 23 litres. Look out, I could have been blowing a bit of smoke up Steve's arse here. But we'll come back, I'll drop some final figures in the comments.
Yeah.
Yeast that was pitched was an SO4. Steve had made a recipe here saying a 1.9 litre starter for a total of 366 billion cells. For a original gravity of 1066, that was the target. I think we ended up at 1060. We ended up adjusting the recipe efficiency. Do have a link to the video where Steve's actually done a taster, and I'm pretty sure he mentions the gravities in that. So I'll put the actual numbers in the bottom, but I'll also link up just a short little tasting video from Steve. Final gravity on the recipe was 1020. I think he says it comes out at 1022. So yeah, mash we went through. We had a great afternoon. We had plenty of beers, so there's not a real lot of footage. We had a bit of a joke later in the day as we'll try to get rid of the grains to the neighbour.
Dark moss, really?
Oh no. We're ditching the grain to the neighbours.
The chooks.
We won't put the neighbour on camera just for the sake of it. The neighbour doesn't want to be on, but it's going to his chooks over there.
Yeah, Steve's neighbour running around.
Hey? Recycling. The neighbour wasn't too keen to actually be on the video, so we avoided that as best we could. That's not the brew from the day. That's the amped up stout. That's not what we're brewing. Yeah, so I'll pop those couple of links, information down the bottom. Right now, let's get on to brew day back at my place. Righto, folks. It's brew day back at Little John's. I'm working up the revised version of what Steve's done down there, or what we did down there at Steve's just before Christmas. Now, I did say at the time that I was looking to do an oyster stout on half of this because I had access to oyster shells. Due to a cock up, the oyster shells, yeah, didn't work out. So made some sort of last minute changes. So right now I've got the water on, mash water's on. It's just overshot temperature by about 3 degrees, so I'm just going to let it come down while we have a quick chat. Okay, so we're at about around 64 degrees. So I think that should get us close to 62 by the time we've mashed in. I have adjusted my mill a little bit for the before I mill, just to close the gap up just a little bit. So I don't know what difference that will make, but I'll get this in. Now I'm adding a good whack of rice hulls. So this is the first time I've used this pot and the big false bottom without a bag. So you forget how it should be for the first time. So we'll see how we go. Instead, a good whack of rice hulls in here. Rolled wheat and 400 grams of the oats. And give him all a good mix. So I've gone a reasonably finished sort of a mash. The original target was for about 3 litres less. I was just a bit worried about how thick that was going to be. So this will be fine. This will work fine. There's no anywhere from 3 to 4 litres per kilogram of grain works. Yeah, it's going to work fine. Got a good amount of water there to sparge with. So, and again, this is going to be, because it's the first batch, it's going to be a bit of a numbers calculator, so I'll be taking, well, as always, taking good notes on the measures and stuff like that. It's looking pretty good. Doesn't seem to be any day balls in there. So right now, I said this is going to sit. Let's get a quick temperature. See where we're at. Okay, we've dropped a little bit more. It's down to about 59. That's all right. I'll just put the element on for a minute. So I'll let this come back to 62. I'm just going to run for 10 minutes, and I've already started the mash timer already. So in 10 minutes time, or about 9 minutes now, I'll bump this up to 66 and give it another stir at the same time, and then go on from there. Then we'll get mash in. So I'm using the 50 litre nano mash tun kettle, and I'm using it properly as a mash tun today. So I'm not using the full 3V system. I'm not getting the HLT involved today, because I still haven't got the pump fixed. But I will be doing the full mash with the big bottom plate, so I'm going to mash properly, and I will sparge through like a complete normal brew. The only difference is going to be I will control the temperature as I have been previously with the brew in the bag batches, the last few, just by turning the controller on and off and watching the mash temperature myself. So 2V, I will be boiling in the Robo Brew, so I will transfer to the Robo Brew while we do a proper fly sparge. So it's actually been quite a while since I've done a fly sparge on the channel, so that will be something that probably a few of you haven't actually seen happening. So that's where we go on there, and let's have a look at that shortly. I've just milled up some of the grains. Now, I said I've revised this. I've gone through and I've changed Steve's recipe to do, you know, my version of a stout, and it's going to be a little different, but I'm going to split this 2 ways. Of course, you knew that was going to happen, didn't you? So what I've done, I've gone through the batch, and I've kept. Let's say nothing. I've kept nothing from Steve's recipe, but at the same time, it's not. I used it as the basis, and built my recipe around the same sort of ideas. So I've got just under 5 kilos of Gladfield malt. That's mostly Gladfield ale. I've got a little bit of Pilsner in there. Now I've used some flaked barley as opposed to where Steve would use flaked maize. I'm using some oats. I've got 550 grams of the flaked barley. I'm going 400 grams of the rolled oats. Just store-bought Woolies, you know, cooking for breakfast, quick oats. I have thrown in 370 grams, or will be throwing in 370 grams of rolled wheat as well. There's no lactose in the recipe directly at the moment. So that's what's going into the mash at the moment. A bit later in the mash I will be adding 230 grams of dark chocolate malt, Gladfields, which is very dark. It's a 1300 EBC. It's up there about as dark as you're going to get for chocolate malt. I think Steve's chocolate malt was probably around a 600 by memory, quite a bit lower. So it's going to be a bit more. I'm thinking more coffee and those deeper notes from that. 170 grams of Joe White's roasted malt. I've not gone for the roasted barley. My understanding is that the roasted malt is not as bitter. Very similar in colour though, so around the same range there. And 130 grams of Gladfield chocolate rye. And that's just a little something in there. And I'll be adding 200 grams of dextrose into the boil to finish out the grain bill. Dark malts are going to go in late in the mash. The mash is a 3-step mash. I'm looking for 62 first mash step, which is only going to be for 10 minutes. And then I'm going to ramp up to 66. Righto. 10 minutes in, so we're now ramping up to 66. And then I'm going to ramp it up to, which will sit there for half an hour mash. That's the main mash step. The 62 is just to get a little bit of simple conversion, get some simple sugars in to help keep the body light, just to stop it from getting too thick and dense and heavy. But only like 10, I want to get out of there quickly so it's not down there for too long. Most of the mash is going to happen to 66, then go to 70. That's when the dark grains will get added and it'll sit there for 20 minutes. Okay, I've just added our dark grains. I thought I was recording it, but the camera turned off. Well, I'm assuming I hadn't pressed the record button. Silly me. But anyway, so we're in the process of coming up to 70 degrees, and then I'll raise it to 75, basically for mash out for about 10 minutes. So it's a 4-step mash. So it's a little bit more technical than we've gone down there with Steve, but that's where we're at. Mashing is, I've got 25 litres, which leaves me about 12 litres of sparge water. So it works out to about 3.7 litres per kilogram of grain. which will actually technically going to be a little bit less because there's the dark stuff not going in, but it tallies up a bit over 500 grams, so it's not a hell of a lot in the big picture. We're using these Kent Goldings and Mosaic for the hops, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. I've added my salt additions, which is basically a bit of everything. 4 grams of, no, it wasn't 4, 2.5 grams of calcium chloride, just under 2 grams of Epsom salt, 4 grams of gypsum, and I've also added 2 grams of baking soda as well. So that's it. That's all in. Okay, mash is done. We've gone for our 75-degree rest. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just boil loose, which basically just means taking some of the mash through the grain bed and adding it back in. And just doing that while we let the grain bed settle, because it's going to filter as we sparge. So yeah, this is a method you don't need to worry about on the Brew and grain farmer and stuff, because you just lift the malt pipe and it just drains out. So it settles pretty much on its own. Letting the mash just sit, the grain bed will settle, but this is very traditional method just for letting it to help it out. And it also, yeah, and it helps to get clearer water into the boil kettle. Which at the end of the day will give you a clearer beer. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that at the moment. So bring the Steveadulla in, Robo in my case. I'm just going to let this run slowly. So we're going to do this quickly. And while that's going, we'll get some temperature onto this. Onto the Robo Brew, get it coming up to temp. Just to save some time. I'll get it plugged in while I'm wait for that to drop a little bit before I get some first little sparge in there. Alright, we're starting to get down to some grain bed there. Now we just start adding sparge water gently without trying not to upset the grain bed too much. And we're going to use that to slowly drop through and rinse the bed as we do any time with any sort of a mash. So what I'm trying to do with the sparge, and it's called a fly sparge, is to try and keep the water that I'm adding in, the clean stuff, sort of just on the top of the grain bed that's there, not getting too far over it. So that way it's dropping through. It's almost like a layering thing. So each time you put some more hot water in, it sort of layers down and pushes through. So each layer brings out more sugar as it goes. And this is designed to get all that good sugar out of the grain bed and not leave anything behind. Yeah, I don't know if you can really see it there, but that wort coming out there is considerably lighter in colour than was originally. And that's good, obviously. We're flushing all that out, so we're getting the light into the grain, and that will continue to lighten up as we work through. Okay, we're just coming to a boil. Now I've added a little bit of firm cap in, and that's the extent of the hot break. So it's good stuff, it works really well. Righto, boils on. 53 grams of EKG going in. This is the little fruit bags you can get from Woolworths. They're reusable ones. I picked them up the other day. Hadn't seen them in our local Woolies till just the other day. So seen a few people use them. So first time for me. In she goes. So our first lot of hops have gone in, and that was 53 grams of EKG. East Kent Goldings at 60 minutes, which is going to get us 27 IBU. Nice up front. Now second lot of hops will be 25 grams of Mosaic with 15 minutes left in the boil. So at the moment we've got 25 minutes left in the boil. We've still got to put in our dextrose. So I've got a sample here, get a hydro reading. I've not taken any refract readings as I've gone along today. We'll just go here and see what we're looking at. So this is the pre-boil gravity. Let's see where we are. Okay, that's sitting at 10, I think that's about 1054. Yeah. Yep, I'll call that 1054. We were looking for 1049, so that may balance up our volume a little bit. We'll see. So I will stick that in here and see what that tells us. Now, we're aiming for a post boil of 1061 at that level. I think initially we were looking for 1061. So yeah, it would seem we're dead on the mark. So efficiency seems to be as we cover. It's going to depend on how this boil goes. That's aiming for, at the moment for a brew house around 66-67%, which honestly I'd be really happy with for a stout. Quite often they can be a little bit lower, but 67 will certainly work for me, that's for sure. So things are coming along all right. So I'll leave you be now. Yeah, go fuck. Go and have a beer or something. Have yourself a beer. Come back. We'll have a look at final numbers. We'll skip this last hop addition. You've seen the hop addition. You know what it looks like to put dextrose in there. I said 200 grams of dextrose still to go in. There'll be a bit more than half a world clock tablet to go in as well. Yeah, so I'll see you shortly, and we'll have a look at final numbers. Rightio. Just completed the transfer. we ended up with 1066 at fraction of the 20, or around 21 litres in the all-rounder, which isn't completely accurate, but anyway. I was looking for original gravity of 1061, so I've added a litre and a quarter of water to bring it up, so that's going to get us probably about, bond calculation tells me 1062, which is close, and that's around about 22 litres, which is probably closer to 23 with the bloody the graduation stickers out on the thing. So all good. Got certainly right around where we wanted to get. So this will be going into the fridge. I said all 23 litres is at the moment in the all-rounder. I will ferment this out. I'm using White Labs burnt nail yeast. I think it's WLP 023, top of my head. Got a starter sitting here, which is still active. So I'm going to put, it's 9 o'clock now, Friday night. I'm going to put the all-rounder into the fridge, get it up to temperature, which will be 18 degrees, and I'll pitch this yeast in the morning. I'll give it overnight to finish doing its thing. It is starting to drop a little bit, so I think it's almost where I want it to be. So yeah, I will be splitting this batch once it's finished. Half of it will go, I'm going to do some raspberries, where I will add some lactose and some vanilla. There was a joke, about 2 weeks ago, Peter had some scones on the Facebook page. There was a joke about making it the next stout flavour, so we're sort of going that aim. I tend to eat strawberry jam on my scones, not raspberry, but raspberry's going to be easy to work with, and I've always wanted a raspberry stout, so more a raspberry pastry stout, so that sort of thing. From the other half, I'm going to put, so there'll be about 10 litres in the other half. I'm going to put 5 litres of that into a barrel, the oak barrel, one of the bourbon barrels, and I'm going to age that for a little bit, and the other 5 litres of that I'm going to just bottle as it is, and just run it normal. So we'll end up with 3 different finishes from this one brew, and then, as discussed earlier, we'll do some swapping between me and Steve down there in Ulladulla, and we'll do some tastings and comparisons. Right now, that's tasting like it's going to end up fairly good. So, all good. Guys, that's me. Done. So tasting day is going to be a little way off on this one, because we've got to wait for this, the bourbon barrel. I'm not going to age it for a long time. It's only a small barrel, so it'll probably only be a couple of weeks. So, hopefully we'll be tasting this one within sort of, about 6 weeks from now. So all good. Comments and questions down the bottom. As always, patrons, thank you very much for your support. Subscribers, thank you as well. If you aren't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Jump on Patreon if you're interested. Hit the like button. All good. Anyway, guys, that's me. So until I see you again, next video, we're brewing beer, drinking beer, talking beer, good brewing.